Bob Wanamaker, Thinking Strongman. A little bit of a mini rant today, but before I get started on that, we're just coming off the Arnold. Well, actually, we're about a week off the Arnold. I just have been, let's say I've been lazy and haven't done anything in terms of videos between the Arnold and now. So I need to get some congratulations out there to some fellow Team RTS members. Obviously, Mike Tushier set a new world record in the deadlift and total. Congratulations, Mike. Mark Robb. Damn guy. Mark, you've been through the ringer in terms of injuries. You set a new Masters record. That's just awesome, dude. Overall, Team RTS had a great showing at the Arnold. We've been seeing a lot of discussion slash statements about qualifications to be an online coach slash trainer slash fitness guru slash consultant. And I was talking with my own trainer, Mike Tushier, and he's been seeing the same sort of thing, except at the opposite end of the spectrum, the polar opposite, I guess, of a continuum. So I've been seeing a lot of, hey, if your coach doesn't deadlift 900 pounds, then he doesn't know what he's talking about, sort of claims. Mike's been seeing a lot of, hey, if your coach doesn't reference every claim he makes with 3,000 PubMed studies, then he's ignorant and doesn't know what he's talking about. And both of those claims are really off base, at least in my opinion, and they both reflect the rather low barrier to entry in the online training business. There really is no barrier to saying you're an online trainer, an online coach. There's no qualification exam, there's no business requirement, there's no certifying body, there's no governing body, there's no licensing, there's nothing. There's basically, guy decides he doesn't know how else to make a living. He's going to be, or she is going to be, an online trainer. Oftentimes, the business model's pretty simple. They will sign up with an established online trainer who actually knows something about programming and about fitness, who has spent a lot of time studying. They'll spend anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 months getting their own programming done by this trainer. And then they'll essentially regurgitate these programs for their clients and call these programs their own work. I've seen this done many times by many trainers. So you really want to beware of who you're dealing with when you go looking for help with your training. Talking about the claim that you have to lift X amount of weight in order to be a good online coach. I guess the question that I'll bring up right away is looking at the sort of prototypical American or North American strength sport, the NFL. I think there's about 32 NFL teams, and I think there's about 8 head coaches who played in the NFL. So let me ask you the question, Mr. 900-pound deadlift. Why aren't there more NFL head coaches who played in the NFL? Well, the answer might be shocking to you. The answer is that to coach requires a completely different skill set from playing. To coach requires a completely different skill set than to pick up a bar with weight on it. No two ways around it. To write a program for an athlete to communicate with that athlete requires a completely different skill set than to be an athlete. Sorry, that's just the way it is. They're divergent skill sets. You may find a rare individual who possesses both skill sets. I'm not saying they don't exist, but it's a rare individual, and by no means are both skill sets required, nor is one skill set mutually dependent upon the other. Think about that for a minute. To the claim that you have to have a PubMed study backing up every claim you make, the problem you have there is most of the time you don't have enough background in the scientific method to understand truly what the scientific method is, how it applies to medical research, and how it applies to a particular study. So the question of whether, quoting a study about rats applies to humans is a big question. The question of whether a given study about rats was well conducted in the first place is a huge question. The question of whether there were ethical concerns, i.e. whether there was research bias because of funding sources, is a huge, huge question. And the trainers will not have access to that information. So they're sort of quoting this stuff, and they don't really know why they're quoting it. They don't know that it does apply or doesn't apply. They're sort of regurgitating facts and hoping it does apply. They're trying to overwhelm with information. Now, that's not all the time. I'm sure there are some trainers who, just like there are some guys who can deadlift 900 pounds and they have the skill set of being able to coach you well, I'm sure there are some online trainers or coaches in person who are able to quote PubMed very, very well, who understand the scientific method very, very well, who know a group of scientists, research funding sources, who know their methods, who know what studies are applicable, who know the biases, yada, yada, yada. But you're probably going to have a difficult time sifting all that out. So to make your choice based on that, yeah, I don't know. Seems to me that's pretty loose criteria, I guess, or pretty bad criteria to use for choosing your trainer. Anyways, that's my rant for today. Thanks for watching. Remember, evolution matters. Train like an animal, think like a human.